Okay, we're going to call the meeting to order in accordance with the requirements of the New Jersey statutes regarding open space public meetings. Notice of this meeting was legally advertised in the Courier Post and the South Jersey Times, posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building. Fire exits are located at the double doors on your left and your right. Please silence all mobile devices. Flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call.
Ms. Donato?
Here.
Mr. Longfellow?
Here.
Perry?
Here.
Mr. Fazio?
Here.
Mayor Gattinelli?
Here.
Mr. Platt? Mr. Gonter? I would add to the public that I have Mr. Fazio on landline because he can't be here tonight, but he's here to make a vote. So he's on the phone, and we are recording him while he's on the phone.
Okay, first on the agenda, Resolution 244, 2017, approving the agreement between the Township of Washington and PBA Local 318 Sergeants Association. Do I have a motion to approve?
Make the motion.
Second? I'll second. Any discussion? Okay, let's have the vote.
Ms. Donato, please.
Yes.
Mr. Perry?
Yes.
Mr. Longfellow?
Recused.
Mr. Fazio? Mr. Fazio?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. It passes.
The call's breaking up. I'm just gonna hang up. Did you get my vote?
Yes, we have your vote on record. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thanks. Okay, next we have a mayor's presentation to the public, State of Washington Township.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out tonight. I just wanted to address everyone and let you know where we stand here 6 months in with Washington Township, the State of Washington Township. So I have a few words to say. I stand before Council and the residents of Washington Township at the 6-month juncture of this administration's first year in office to present you with the State of Washington Township. During my campaign and following my election, I stressed that the goals and objectives of my administration would be to bring back accountability to Washington Township government, promote business development and public safety, and improve services to our residents while keeping the local tax rates stable. I am pleased to announce that with the help of those in my administration, council, the township employees, and our dedicated residents, we are well on our way to accomplishing many of these goals, and we have great things in store for the community as we move forward. I want to acknowledge council, all of our department heads, their supervisors, and the rank and file employees for all moving in the same direction with my vision to make Washington Township a great place in which to live, work, and raise your family. I also want to acknowledge all of our residents who volunteer their time and effort to serve on various boards and committee that help support our goal of moving forward in the right direction. In reference to budget and taxes, one of my most important goals, which we have already achieved, was to tackle the 2017 municipal budget in a way which would stabilize our taxes without affecting services to our residents. This year, we are able to balance the budget with no tax increase and improve services to our residents at the same time. In addition, we are able to maintain a healthy surplus, which helps keep the township's bond rating at high levels. In keeping with our goal to be fiscally responsible, we bid and contracted for township banking services to provide increased reliability, reduced fees, and expenses. Most recently, we awarded a bid to an energy service provider, which will reduce cost and save taxpayers over $70,000 per year on municipal electricity costs. Also this year, for the first time in history, we've established a human resources department with a human resources director. to better manage employee relationships, which we hope will improve customer service to our residents and business owners. We are also examining the current healthcare program for municipal employees in an effort to reduce costs and expenses and provide savings to all our taxpayers. Moreover, we are also evaluating and rethinking the way the township buys and leases township and police vehicles and equipment. With proper fleet management, we believe we can provide appropriate vehicles and equipment necessary to deliver effective services to our residents while at the same time saving taxpayer monies. Washington Township businesses. For a number of years before I took office, there had been a decline in Washington Township business. Some of this is manifested by what appears to be empty stores and closed businesses in certain parts of the town. While the Internet and Great Recession of 2008 are some of the reasons for this downturn, it is imperative for me to encourage and promote economic development and business in the township. Attracting clean commercial ratables helps create jobs and reduce the tax burden on our residents. In order to promote business, my administration and our dedicated volunteers on the Economic Development Committee have created a marketing strategy, an informational guide about the township and why businesses, developers, and companies should locate or relocate their businesses to Washington Township. We also have added a business directory section for our website that categorizes and organizes the registered businesses we have in Washington Township. We currently have 703 businesses, but are still working to make sure the list is inclusive of all the businesses. I would like to thank our township clerk, Leo Selp, Danielle Barella, our clerk, and also Councilwoman Dana Pasqualone for leading this effort. Another initiative I am happy to present is the new Shop Washington Township program that was created at no cost to the taxpayers. With this program, residents who shop and own local businesses are eligible for tax credits in their annual tax bill. I encourage our residents to shop local and to shop Washington Township. We also continue to have our professionals and department heads search and apply for grants to pay for township goods and services. Obtaining grants are a non-tax source of revenue that provides better services to our residents without increasing taxes. Public safety. Another one of our priorities in enhancing public safety. This is a continuing process to make sure that all Washington Township residents and their children feel safe and are safe at all times. Along with our new police chief, Patrick Gersick, not only are we providing our police officers with the tools they need to provide safe and secure neighborhoods for everyone, but we are also engaging in many community outreach programs with our residents. First and foremost, we have hired additional police officers and special law enforcement officers to increase and enhance public safety. The safety of our residents is always a priority, and we work constantly to make sure that there are enough police in our community to protect our residents, businesses, and visitors alike. One of the first things I did in office was to add a second police officer at the high school for the first time in 7 years. The chief of police and I are committed to keeping our students, teachers, and schools as safe as possible. We have also revamped our emergency management team with the extensive training and new appointments. Throughout the town, we are conducting speed studies to make sure that our streets are safe, and we're working with the police department to establish drug-free zones. As far as community outreach, the chief of police is holding a regular roundtable meeting with the members of the school district to continually assess safety in our schools. We have also established a number of programs with the chief, including Fishing with a Cop, Coffee with a Cop, and Water Ice with a Cop. Community policing with the proper resources and tools will keep Washington Township and its residents as safe as possible. Quality of life. When I was campaigning, many residents expressed to me that there were not enough services and community programs in the township. It has been one of my main visions to enhance the quality of life for those living and working in Washington Township. We want to make sure that we have first-class facilities for all of our youth programs, the sports programs, as well as continue to provide transportation and community services for our senior residents. We have also been paying particular attention to our public works, have created a safe zone exchange for children in difficult family situations, and are working in conjunction with area hospitals to provide health and wellness offerings for our employees and residents alike. To honor our veterans, we created Combat Wounded Warriors Family Support Parking Spaces at the police station, municipal building, and the senior center. For the first time in close to a decade, we brought back the 4th of July parade, which, along with the fireworks show, was a huge success. So many of our residents attended the festivities, and it was wonderful to see our community getting together and celebrating America. We also continue to invest in our infrastructure. We have an ongoing 2017 road program, and we are making renovations to the Township Municipal Building as well as the Police Administration Building, which are much in need of repairs. With respect to the road program, the following is a list of projects we're working on, which are being paid through grants, not funded by taxpayer dollars. Number one, $193,000 to NJDOT grant for Bethel Mill Road. Concrete work is complete and asphalt improvements are scheduled for next week. Number two, $170,047 NJDOT grant for Phase 1 of Stagecoach Road. Concrete work is starting and asphalt improvements will follow starting at the Johnson Road end. Number three, $175,000 NJDOT grant for Phase 2 of Stagecoach Road. This is in design and will be in bid in August for construction this fall. This will hopefully carry the asphalt improvements through to Lillian. CDBG grant for improvements to Lantern Lane. This is in final design and will be bid in August for construction this fall. South Jersey Gas main renewal on portion of Greenwood, also incorporated roadway repaving of Greenwood from Green Tree to Heather. And then South Jersey Gas main renewal up and coming in the Garfield section, which will be incorporating roadway paving of McKinley Avenue from Johnson to Cooper and Spruce Street from McKinley to Garfield. Once again, whenever we spend money in the township, we always ask how it will benefit the Township of Washington residents the most. Transparency. One of the main campaign platforms was to restore our residents' faith in local government. In my initial mayor's column, I made it clear that transparency to our residents was a high priority. During the budget process, our business administrator implemented small group budget workshops and several open public budget hearings to provide information and get input from our residents about our municipal budget. In an effort to keep up with today's technology, we have worked hard to increase our social media presence by establishing Twitter and Instagram along with our existing township website and Facebook page. I have also established the Coffee with the Mayor program to meet with residents and business owners alike to share information and discuss constructive ways to improve our township and the services we deliver to our residents. Internally, I have established regular and consistent department head staff meetings, and with the help of our new Human Resources Director, we are constantly evaluating our employees' performance and the way in which we deliver services to our residents. I want to give a plug to the Washington Township Sun, Caitlin, which is carrying a weekly mayor's column so I can report to our residents the goings-on around the township. We have received great feedback and positive feedback from our efforts to be transparent and accountable to our residents. In closing, I once again want to thank all of our residents who have supported me and the administration and have given us the opportunity to make positive changes for our community. We are constantly looking for ways to improve services, promote economic development, generate non-tax revenues, and cut costs. I am grateful to have a team of talented and dedicated department heads who, along with their supervisors and all of the township employees, are dedicated to providing the quality of life that Washington Township residents expect and deserve. I also want to thank all of the council members who have worked tirelessly to do the right thing for the Washington Township. I finally want to thank my husband and my two sons for giving me their support and allowing me the time necessary to fulfill my duties as mayor of Washington Township. I want to thank you.
I got it, Rick, don't worry.
Okay, approval of the bill list. Need a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Ms. Donato?
Yes.
Mr. Longfellow?
Yes.
Mr. Perry?
Yes. Okay, approval For the regular minutes of July 12th, 2017 meeting,
May I make a motion to table both of the meetings since we won't have a quorum to vote on it as I wasn't present for the 12th?
I'll second.
Voice vote is sufficient.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
approval of his executive session meeting minutes for July 12th. We're going to table this one too?
Same thing.
Same issue.
I asked to table both of them, but
Yeah, the motion was to table both, and that was an affirmative.
I didn't hear it. Sorry. Okay, ordinances, 0015, 2017, ordinance rezoning the property known as Block 196.05, Lot 10, from its current plan residential 1 zoning to commercial zoning. This ordinance is up for adoption. A motion to open to the public to hear the ordinance?
make that motion.
Second.
Voice vote's fine on the open.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, anybody in the public that wants to come up and talk only on this ordinance?
Good evening. Block 196.05, Lot 10, property location AC Expressway, the owner's unknown, care of Township of Washington, P.O. Box 1106, Turnersville, New Jersey. Making the assumption that the township owns this lot. We are in a situation that there is 12.15 acres. It's map page number 2302. It's vacant land known as Nash's Lake. The property was assessed for $27,500, and the improvements to the property were assessed at zero. There is some flood data, and it is in a floodway. I have a couple questions. Is the property owned by Washington Township? Why is the property being rezoned to commercial industrial? Is it the intention of the township to sell this property? Is there a potential buyer in the wings? Will it benefit the residents? Those are my questions.
Did you have to status me?
Is there anyone up from the public that wants to come up and speak on this one?
Make a motion to close to the public.
I'll
Second.
Go ahead. Roll call.
Voice vote will be sufficient. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Noes? It passes.
Yes, to answer the gentleman's question, this property is actually owned by the Washington Township Municipal Utilities Authority. It's a right-of-way and parcel property that's owned. To my knowledge, there's no intent to sell this property. The idea is to change the zoning. The request was made by the MUA to allow for the uses that would be permitted in the CI zone and other uses to go on the property. So this is in conjunction with the request which they made to the township for some time, and we are just implementing that request.
Motion to adopt.
We now need to,
A motion to adopt?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor, well, hold it, now let's do a roll call vote on this one, please. Councilwoman Donato?
Yes.
Councilman Longfellow?
Yes.
Mr. Perry?
Yes.
It passes.
Okay, excuse me.
I'd like to make a motion to table ordinance 19.
why don't we read it by title first?
Or do you want to do
Please.
you want to allow people to speak?
No, there's no public discussion on, if it's going to be a tabling, then there's no discussion, so
Can we table it after the public discussion in case there's anybody here?
however you want to do it, but we should read it by title first.
Got it. Good.
Ordinance 019, 2017, ordinance amending a chapter of the Code of the Township of Washington, Chapter 260, Vehicles and Traffic, Salina Road.
And this is to set it at 30 miles per hour.
Ordinance is up for adoption. Motion to open to the public hearing on this ordinance?
Make that motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Mr. Perry seconds.
Voice vote, please.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes.
Public portion is now open on ordinance 19-2017.
I have a few questions on this one.
Mr. Alvarez, just for the record, you just need to state your name for the record.
Bob Alvarez, Washington Township.
Thank you.
Has the repaving on Salina Road begun that is making this 30-mile-per-hour speed limit okay? I guess since we're tabling it, that could probably be answered by that. Does that repaving include from the township line to Delsey Drive? If not, why not? The road in question, including the road known as Sewell Road from Salina Road to Delsey Road, is in dire need of repaving. Family members have lost wheel covers and gotten damaged ribs from that road. That's my comment.
Anybody else from the public wishing to speak on this one? Make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes.
Now, Mr. Alvarez had a number of questions. There were more paving questions than speed limit questions. I don't know if Anita wants to address those questions now or address it with him at some other time.
With you, I'm happy to address it now.
Just go to the mic.
Paving of Salina Road has nothing to do with this speed limit recommendation change. There was a section of Salina Road done not that long ago. The section of Sewell Road, which you do mention, is on target as a township road and is on schedule to be done soon.
We're on for adoption or any other action that council would like to take.
I'd like it to table this at this time. Make a motion to table.
I'll second.
And can we table it to the next meeting, which would be in August, please?
We're going to table to the meeting of August 23rd, 2017.
And can I have a vote on that, please? Ms. Donato?
Yes, that's fine.
Mr. Longfellow?
Yes.
Mr. Perry?
Yes.
This is tabled. This ordinance 019-2017 has been tabled.
Okay, ordinance 020-2017, amending Chapter 80 of the Code of Washington Township entitled Fees, Uniform Construction Code. This ordinance is up for adoption. Motion to open a public hearing.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes.
Anyone from the public wishing to speak on this ordinance? Seeing no one from the public, I make a motion to close the public hearing on this ordinance.
I'll second.
Voice vote, please. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Motion to adopt.
I just have one question for Mr. DeStefano, if you don't mind. What's the reasoning to go from 5 to 15 and not 5 to 10 or any other number in between? If you could just jump on a mic. I didn't mean to spring this on you at the last minute, but if you could explain that to me, please.
We're talking about the percentage.
Yes, sir. The administrative fee?
Yeah, it's, the percentage is there to make up for the fees that we lose because we had to hire a third-party agency, basically. I could have made it, I was trying to find a reasonable number where it wasn't too aggressive and it wasn't too low, quite frankly.
Okay.
It's just, again, just to make up for the, for what we're losing in that particular fee.
All right, because we've had to bring in a few different, because we've had trouble maintaining a plumbing official and some other officials, so we've used outside agencies now to bolster your staff and in order to cover those fees.
That is
It's
correct.
appropriate to up these now.
Throughout the whole state of New Jersey, there's a dire need for plumbing inspectors, and my plumbing inspector moved on, and we had trouble finding one, so we had to fill the need for a plumbing inspector, so we had to hire a third-party agency, and that third-party agency charges a percentage of the permit fee as their as how they make money.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
Okay, motion to adopt.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Roll call. Ms. Donato?
Yes.
Mr. Longfellow?
Yes.
Mr. Perry?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Ordinance 021-2017, amending section Chapter 59 of the Code of Washington Township entitled Contractors Licensing of. This regulates businesses who cut trees down for homeowners to protect homeowners. This ordinance is up for adoption. Motion to open to the public.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Voice vote, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? This motion is open.
Is there anyone from the public that wishes to speak on this ordinance? Seeing no one from the public, I make a motion to close to the
Second.
public.
Voice vote, please, say aye.
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 Any opposed? We now move to motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt. I'll make the motion.
Second?
Roll call, please. Ms. Donato?
Yes.
Mr. Longfellow?
Yes.
Mr. Perry?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Ordinance 022, 2017, ordinance of the Township of Washington providing the authorization of contract with third-party payroll services, including electronic disbursement control. This ordinance is up for adoption.
Nope, introduction only.
No introduction.
Oh, I'm sorry, introduction.
In fact, the rest of them are just for introduction only.
Okay. Motion open to the public?
Nope.
No, it's only a motion. I'm sorry. It's a motion to introduce.
Make that motion.
Second?
Roll call, please. Ms. Donato?
Yes.
Mr. Longfellow?
Yes.
Mr. Perry?
Yes. Ordinance 023, 2017, ordinance extending the commercial industrial zoning designation to encompass the entire property known as Block 86, Lot 102. This ordinance is up for introduction.
Motion to introduce.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Roll call?
Ms. Donato?
Yes.
Mr. Longfellow?
Yes.
Mr. Perry?
Yes. Ordinance 024, 2017, ordinance rezoning the property known as Block 117, Lot 1.03 from its current rural zoning to IN institution. This ordinance is up for introduction.
Motion to introduce, please.
Make that motion.
Second?
Ms. Donato?
Yes.
Mr. Longfellow?
Yes.
Mr. Perry?
Yes. Move on to resolutions. Resolution 241, 2017, resolution accepting a performance bond for Washington Square Urban Renewal LCC Project 0818P 424 Phase 1 Assisted Living.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Ms. Donato?
Yes.
Mr. Longfellow?
Yes.
Mr. Perry?
Yes. Resolution 242, 2017, resolution authorizing contract for proprietary computer software. Motion to approve.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any discussions? Roll call?
Ms. Donato?
Yes.
Mr. Longfellow?
Yes.
Mr. Perry?
Yes. Resolution 243, 2017, resolution awarding a contract for the purchase of one new Camel 1200 sewer and catch basin cleaner. Motion to approve.
Make that motion.
Second?
Any discussions on this?
This was budgeted for already,
Yes,
correct?
it was.
Okay.
Roll call?
Ms. Donato?
Yes.
Mr. Longfellow?
Yes.
Mr. Perry?
Yes. Resolution 245, 2017, resolution authorizing an online public auction for the sale of municipal property which is no longer needed for public use. Motion to approve.
Make the motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Ms. Donato?
Yes.
Mr. Longfellow?
Yes.
Mr. Perry?
Yes. Resolution 246, 2017, releasing a performance letter of credit and acceptance of the maintenance letter of credit and escrow for Turnersville Development Associates. This, I make a motion to table this resolution.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Donato?
Yes.
Mr. Longfellow?
Yes.
Mr. Perry?
Yes. Resolution 247-2016, canceling taxes for a totally disabled veteran, Block 194.25, Lot 26, 51 Norwich Road. Motion to approve.
Make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Donato?
Yes.
Mr. Longfellow?
Yes.
Mr. Perry?
Yes. Resolution 248-2017, canceling Resolution 234-2017, and rewarding a contract for the purchase of 9 Panasonic vehicle docking stations with accessories. Motion to approve.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Ms. Donato?
Yes.
Mr. Longfellow?
Yes.
Mr. Perry?
Yes. Resolution 249-2017, resolution to cancel and rescind authorization for a liquor license. Motion to approve.
Make that motion.
I'll second. Any discussion on this? Roll call?
Ms. Donato?
Yes.
Mr. Longfellow?
Yes.
Mr. Perry?
Yes. Resolution 250-2017, authorized to enter into memorandum
He'll be okay.
of understanding agreement with Atlantic City Electric, Washington Square Urban Renewal, LCC, and the Township of Washington. Motion to approve.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Discussion on the motion? Roll call?
Ms. Donato?
Yes.
Mr. Longfellow?
Yes.
Mr. Perry?
Yes. Resolution 251-2017, resolution authorizing a public auction for the sale of municipal property which is no longer needed for the public use. Motion to approve.
Make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Ms. Donato?
Yes.
Mr. Longfellow?
Yes.
Mr. Perry?
Yes. Resolution 252-2017, resolution authorizing membership in a mutual aid and assistance agreement with participating units. Motion to approve.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any discussion on this? Okay, roll call?
Ms. Donato?
Yes.
Mr. Longfellow?
Yes.
Mr. Perry?
Yes. Okay, any old business?
One question I had in old business was for the business administrator. I know she's not here, she's missed a couple meetings, but as far as the RFP for economic development, what's the status of that? I know that started back in January and February, and it's being worked on by the councilwoman, but has it been finished, and when can we start moving forward? Because I know that's one of the things we set out to do at the beginning of the year that's kind of stalled out.
Sure. It has not been finished yet. It's in the process. Ms. Pasquale is working with Robin and QPA to get it generated and move forward.
Any idea about an approximate?
2 to 3 weeks.
All right, thank you. That's all I have.
I don't have anything. You have anything, Angela?
I do not.
New business?
Nothing at this time.
I don't have anything. Okay.
Nothing.
Your reports?
Nothing tonight. It's been quiet this summer so far, which is nice.
Do you have anything, Angela?
I do. I just, one quick announcement, again, for August 1st at 6 p.m. for Washington Township National Night Out for the Police Department. It's at Washington Lake Park. The rain date is on August 2nd. There's going to be barbecue, slides, clowns, but it's going to be a lot of fun, and it is free. So look out for that, and hope to see you there.
I just have one thing. 2 weeks ago, I was invited to attend the graduation of the first Citizens Police Academy. I believe there were 9 people that were in the class, and I want to compliment the officers that ran it and the chief for putting it on and talking to the people that were in the class, and we might hear from one later. It was a very good experience, and I'd like to see more of them. So, nice job with that.
Joe, I have reports from Dana.
Okay.
She asked me to speak on her behalf. Board of Education signed a one-year contract with Source for teachers, and the board will reevaluate the renewal of the contract next year. George Pasanti was promoted to assistant principal of the high school. For the sports advisory, Washington Township Parks and Recreation Department is hosting another Rutgers Coaches Clinic on Monday, August 7th from 6 to 9 p.m. in this room. The clinic is free to all Washington Township sports coaches. Outside coaches are able to participate, but there is a fee of $30 associated with the program. Anyone who wishes to attend must be present for the entire season. She did make mention in reference to the economic development, the RFP currently is being drafted. Business directory, all businesses have been added to the directory, which we were informed of already. The clerk's office is actively reaching out to businesses to register. Existing and closed businesses are being cross-referenced to provide the most accurate record keeping for the business directory. Thank you.
Jason, you have anything?
No, it's not.
Stuart?
No, sir.
Okay. Public participation. Make a motion to open to the public.
Second that?
Voice vote sufficient.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Please.
Any opposed? No.
Please
Passes.
limit yourself to 5 minutes and follow the public decorum posted. Thank you.
Good evening, members of council, Mayor Gattinelli. I have 3 questions. May I ask 3 questions in my 5 minutes?
You got
Thank you. Okay. I have a question about 2 of the resolutions, Resolution 245 and Resolution 251. The titles read the same. Can you tell me what the difference is between them?
We respond once public
afterwards.
portion's over.
Oh, all right. Gives me more time to ask questions. Thank you. My second comment is that it would be very helpful to have the resolutions and ordinances posted online before the meeting so that we can better understand what is being discussed and whether we in the public have any comments to offer and can be better informed about them. In the past, before we had the ease of using the internet, we also tried to get ordinances and resolutions, this is going back several years, in the library in advance of meetings so that people could see them even outside of regular business hours. So I would urge whomever is involved, and I have been involved myself at the last minute in preparing resolutions, so I understand the wall that everybody is up against. But to the extent that it is possible, it would be very beneficial to the public to have resolutions and ordinances posted in advance. My third comment has to do with the proposed ordinance that was introduced this evening about extending the commercial industrial zoning designation to encompass the entire property known as Block 86, Lot 1.02. I have a question as to what caused the initiation of this proposed zoning change. And I would note that that zoning designation would allow not only commercial industrial uses, but also highway commercial uses. And that property is within the Tier 1 area of the wellhead protection zone for well number 19. So I think we need to be very cautious about what uses are permitted in that area and on that property. So those are my questions and comments. Thank you.
Got them down. We'll answer them when we're done. Thank you.
Julie Yankanich, Freedom Road in Heritage Valley. Just wanted to come up here and thank a few people for an event that we had June 19th. It was at the 1112 auditorium at the high school. It was supposed to be at the park. In case you weren't aware of it, we did an addiction awareness vigil, which started as a vigil and turned into an event where we heard from people in recovery. We had performers who performed inspirational music, and we had about 20 resource tables. So it was really terrible weather, and it was raining pretty badly, and we couldn't have it at the park. And at 1 o'clock that afternoon, it got moved to the 1112 auditorium at the high school. So I have several people that I wanted to publicly thank in relation to this event. for everything that they did to pull it off, because despite the weather, we had over 200 people who came out, and a lot of people are really emotional about this issue. And I think one of the things that I like to look at the positive, and I think one of the things that we're doing really well, since this administration has started, is opening up the community and making people feel comfortable here. So, we do things for seniors, we do things for little kids, we do things for adults, sports, and now we've embraced this community of addiction and recovery, and I think it's something that really is going to help our community, because when you embrace the weakest members of your community thrives. So I'm going to thank some people, and then, of course, then I have another ask of you at the end of that, because I want to keep the momentum going. But first, I'll thank some of our speakers, Amanda Vaca, Mike Campeggio, and Lindsay Parker, all graduates of the high school, who came and told their stories of strength and hope. Brooke Parker, Angela Donato was on the planning committee, and Brooke Parker, as well as Lindsay Parker. Lisa Collins and Alicia Rotella from the mayor's office helped us quite a bit. The mayor and Stuart Platt helped us as well. Thank you very much. And for speaking also, Mayor Gattinelli. Police Chief Pat Gersick also spoke, and again, everyone who spoke was really heartfelt, and I think that when you have the mayor and the police chief and the superintendent, we had the county prosecutor, Sean Dalton, there. We had Dr. Baird, who runs the emergency room at Kennedy. Kennedy was also a sponsor, freeholder Dan Christie. So to have all those people come out and acknowledge this community was huge, and we've gotten a great response. So to continue, so Superintendent Joe Bollendorf, freeholder Dan Christie, I hope I don't forget anyone, County Prosecutor Sean Dalton and Shannon Eden from his office, Dr. Baird from Kennedy. Our singers were Madeline Yerkes and Marco Santos, as well as Amanda Peacock and Antonia Bernetti, all high school students. Kevin Lindstedt, who had to put in quite a bit of work to move it inside at the last minute. Thank you, Kev. Bubba Mackay from the Township Schools Facilities, Ron and Eileen Lugarini, children from the Cow Project, volunteers from the Cow Project, Steve Magnotta, who was our photographer, and also thank you for coming, Councilman Longfellow and Councilman Perry as well. So thank you so much. I just wanted to, get that out there, and now I'm going to ask you for something, which is, then there was an event the following month, which we just had on the 20th, which was actually through the Congressman's office, which was even more widely attended. It was at the IBPAC. It was a tri-county event. So we want to keep things going for August and September, and something I'd like to throw out there is whoever deals with like the Sports Athletic Board or the Municipal Alliance, I could see either one of those boards being involved in this, but there's something called Sober Sports that they do in Camden County, where I work. It's a county initiative through the task force, and it stands for Sports Organization Beyond Recreation, and basically they do golf outings and softball games. They do their indoor events at the college where I work, and everyone is in recovery, and so it really helps with breaking the stigma. It provides a healthy way to do sports. Sometimes you go play a softball game and then you go have a beer. That doesn't happen in this type of a thing. So I think it's probably a relatively easy, thing for us to implement, considering we have such a huge Parks and Rec program and a great municipal alliance. So I just want to throw that out to you, queue it up. I'm happy to volunteer if you were to move forward with anything like that. I'm not an expert in this subject matter by any means, other than having, personal relationship with people who are in recovery, but I'm a volunteer in the town, so if you wanted to do anything like that, please, hit me up.
Okay, thank you.
And share that.
I don't want to cut you off, but
Okay,
we got the 5-minute limit. Thank you.
Thank you for having the buzzer.
Good evening. Chet Nowacki, Washington Township, longtime resident. I wanted to follow up on the report given by Councilman Perry, and he said that he attended the first ever graduation of the Washington Township Citizens Police Academy. I attended that academy, and it was pretty awesome. It was under the direction of Officer Eric Caven, who's very passionate about everything that he does as a police officer. The guy is totally awesome. The Citizen Academy lasted for the months of June and July. We met Monday and Wednesday nights for a little over 2 hours per night. Before I go into some of the things that we learned in the academy, I noticed that Chief Gersick is in the audience tonight, and I just wanted to thank him for his outreach to the community for some of the programs that he's instituted. During the mayor's presentation, she listed Coffee with a Cop, and I attended a couple of those, and we either have it at a Starbucks or we have it at a Dunkin' Donuts. All the police that are off that day show up along with the chief, and citizens can come and talk to the police, ask them any question that they want, and find out how the police department works and get more familiar with it. We also had the Cooling with a Cop, that was over at Rita's. Once again, all the police officers, and also the SLEOs. The SLEO is the Special Law Enforcement Officer, who's not a full-time police officer yet. They appeared. We went over to Rita's. They set up a little tent over there. They gave out things from the police department, and all the kids got to talk to the police officers, look at the police cars, and it was really cool. They also had Fishing with a Cop, and that was the pond behind the police department. The officers showed up once again on their time off, along with the special officers. They had fishing poles for the kids, and it was very well attended. They had probably over 60, maybe 70 kids there, and it was a catch and release. So they caught the fish, they had a great time, the officers helped them, they threw the fish back. If I can go back to the Citizens Police Academy, when we first started it, this is the first ever Citizens Police Academy, and nobody really knew in the class what to expect from that. We had a wide range of different age groups. The age groups went from 18, and our oldest gentleman there was age 70. So, I mean, it was quite diverse, and we all got along like really well. It turns out to be that it was more hands-on than it was just book learning in a classroom environment. Some of the things that we went over, overview of police operations, the daily activity of the police force. Lieutenant Lee gave us a speech on that. It was amazing. Detective Bureau operations. We had crime scene processing, where we actually had hands-on taking fingerprints, and they showed us how to lift fingerprints and actual procedures that they did for in the crime scene. Academy training. We had Officer Walker, who gave a dynamic talk on everything that he does besides being an officer in Washington Township. He's also an instructor at the Academy. He brought actual videos of what they do at the Academy, and once again, it was real-life experience, and it really brought the class to life. Also, they let the members of the Citizens Academy go through the training course of vehicle operation, so we actually got to drive police cars through the obstacle course. And let me tell you that these police officers, if they can do that, it looks easy. Trust me, it's not. Physical fitness, canine, we had a demonstration by our canine department where they actually had the guys dressed up in the padded suits. And those dogs were great, except when the officer told them that it was time for business. They can really knock down a perpetrator. And once again, that was something I'd never seen before. We had demonstration of emergency vehicles and how they were operated. Officer Walker gave us a complete rundown on SWAT. He's also a SWAT officer. He gets paid nothing extra for being a SWAT officer and putting his life on the line for that. They just get hours off. So when he's on SWAT duty, if it's 8 hours or 10 hours, then he just takes 10 hours. The chief gives him an allowance of 10 hours off his regular duty. We saw specialized units. CPR training, once again, was hands-on. They actually brought mannequins in, and we performed CPR training. CPR on the mannequins. It was hard.
Chet, can you wrap it up?
Okay. And basically, that's it. I would like to thank Chief Gersick for allowing his officers to participate in the program, and I hope that we continue to do this. Captain Rolando, Lieutenant Lee, Lieutenant Kennedy, and of course, the director of the program, Eric Caven, and Officer Walker. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Council. Ralph Campana, 2 Pear Tree Place, Sewell. First of all, I'd like to thank the mayor. It seems like she's really making a concerted effort to try to get things going in the township. I do believe in my heart that's what she's really trying to do. I commend her on that big chore. I think and I brought this up before, you heard me speak about it, impressions are pretty much everything, whether we're selling something, whether we're going into a restaurant and it's dirty, impressions are everything. I had brought up before about the Black Horse, Route 42, the Black Horse Pike, the median strip in the middle. They never trim it. Well, they recently did, and it does look a lot better. It seems like the county does that occasionally. That is county property or state property. It is not our responsibility. I'd like to get a firm answer on that if I could. Is it the state and/or county responsibility and not the townships? If the answer is yes, why do we have an ordinance in Washington Township? And I know you don't have it in front of you, but I printed it out. Ordinance 179-8, maintenance of exterior of premises and structures for homeowners. I'll just take a few sentences out of it. Subsection B, landscaping premises with landscaping and lawns, hedges, bushes shall be kept trim from everything overgrown unsightly where exposed to public view and where the same constitute a blighting factor depreciating adjoining properties. Now that's if I don't keep my property nice. Ordinance 137-15, duty to keep the sidewalks and gutters clean. The sidewalks are not my property. They are public property. But we have an ordinance where I have to, and all the residents have to sweep it, and it shall be their responsibility to keep the premises free of litter at all times. Again, so we don't have it looking like a pig pen. Can we work with the county and/or state when they trim, if they do it once a month, once every other month, that we do it in the interim? Because believe it or not, I do believe if businesses, small or large, want to come into the township, the first thing everybody sees when they're stopped at Green Tree Road at the light and they look over is all the trash. It just doesn't look good. You're working hard, but mentally, people see that. It's something you just don't want to see. I know it's more money. I know we have clean machinery to sweep it up or do something. It's just unsightly. That's the big thing. That was one, and the only other thing, I want to follow up on the previous speaker. I know the police department of Washington Township works hard for the community. I wasn't aware of some of the things they've been doing, but I was made aware of them this evening. At one of the previous meetings, we were talking in reference to disposal of police vehicles at auction. I don't know if they went through the auction yet. I don't know how much money we got, if in fact they already did go to the auction. But just a suggestion, those vehicles were originally earmarked for the police department. They were put into a budget given to the police department for their use. At that point, they had to have them maintained, and at that point, it was really their department, to take care of. I feel that the township should reconsider the monies that come from the sale of the vehicles and give it to the police department so they can use it for equipment and, anything else they may need, because they can always use extra, rather than putting it into the general fund. And that's it. Thank you.
Good evening again. Bob Alvarez, Henley Development. I have a few questions and I have a thank you. Question. How many additional union contracts are in negotiation? According to the records that I have found, there are approximately 6 for the township. I know of 2, including tonight's acceptance of negotiations that have gone forward and are successful. Are there 4 left? I have many questions regarding the ordinances coming up, but I will hold those unless you would like me to send emails prior to look at before, and I know that that's been requested in the past. The question I have regarding the one piece of equipment, the new Camel 1200 sewer and catch basin cleaner, wonder why it's not an MUA purchase. Don't they clean the gutters, the sewers? I didn't know that our municipal authority did that. The online public auction that we're having is for those vehicles. I think I read that very quickly. and that is going to be on the 18th of August, and instead of a physical, it's going to be an online auction. The canceling of taxes for disabled veterans, continue to do it. It is most important that we support our veterans in any shape, form, and it's one of the things the township has done in the past and should do in the future. The explanation of the Washington Square project, MUA, that was brought up tonight, the Memorandum of Understanding. It is a long process, and we are working in conjunction with Atlantic City Electric and the Washington Square Urban Renewal. Just like a little bit more of a clarification on what that is, I assume that it's the electricity for the Washington Square project. I think I'm almost there. Okay, the thank you is to the mayor. The mayor of this township has come into what, from an outsider, was a buzzsaw. The internal workings of the municipal building, including how we take care of our employees, seems to be a little bit in disarray. It did and was addressed quickly, and putting on a person in charge of personnel was probably the wisest thing that you did. You probably have the communication and the information now in at least the file cabinet in order to be able to see who is whom and who is working for whom. One thing that I did forget, let me find it. No, you passed on that one. Mayor Gattinelli is using the sun properly. I would like to see if you could put more specifics into your letters to the community. There's a lot of generalities. I'd like to see some of the specific takes that you have on specifically the economic development of the township. It's kind of been left, and like we said before, the RFP has been languishing since, I think, way back in February. There was actually a resolution for it. Would like to see that happen. The website was down at times, and it has been upgraded. The other question I had was the software that we had is a GIS software that we're going to use, and I think Mr. DiStefano could talk about that. That's something that was approved tonight, I believe. The Chamber of Commerce worked with us during the Washington Township, by Washington Township. We need more details on that if you can. On the website, it would be great. I do know if it's the same program that other townships are using, there is a 25% commission for the retailers, which is kind of a burden, but it is beneficial to the taxpayers, and if we're going to do it, we should promote it extremely heavily. I am pleased with the many road projects that have gone on throughout. There were many in progress before taking an office, but the fix of the library parking lot entrance, the Denston Road entrance, saved me a rim the other day. So we appreciate that. So all those things are taking care of problems that have existed for quite a bit of time, and they are now being taken care of. So I thank you all, continue the work, and let's make the township a premier community again.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public wishing to speak?
The microphone's about my height. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I always have a problem with this thing. Joe Fernicola, Goodwin Parkway. I had an interesting conversation with the county clerk, the county taxation office, and the subsequent conversation with Robin Sarlo. And it was very interesting. A lot of people in a number of communities in the township are not aware that they got a tax assessment increase, including Goodwin Parkway. And I think what would be nice to see going forward is at least use the website, because some people have, the whole concept is the county states, well, we send you a postcard. Well, the postcard is terrific, but it doesn't show the previous year. And obviously people are not going to look at the land and property assessment. You got to go on, and the website, I have to acknowledge, does have under tax collector the record section where you can put in lot and block. Nobody knew about that, and a lot of people I went around my neighborhood, nobody knew they got a tax increase. Now, what I was upset about was the fact that there's no paper trail between the county and the municipality. So I talked to Robin, who's a terrific lady. I said, can you get your hands on this? Because I think the public should know which communities in the township are getting tax increases. We just had a reassessment in 2012. Now I got another $10,000 added to my land. I know land and the building are one and the same, but it just looks bogus and looks silly. But anyway, so it would be nice to see going forward if we can get information on the website about which communities are getting these tax increases. And the problem I'm having going forward again is that if you're in a community that has variations of assessed values, how can you blanket a figure of $10,000? Now, I know there's one, I think it's called Shady Brook. They got 20 of an increase on their land. My community got 10, but then there were variations in the assessed value of the properties. All I'm asking is that we should be more transparent and at least have that information on the website, because people looked at, when I asked them, they had no clue about this. I mean, it's really amazing that there isn't a paper trail. And like I said, I had a nice conversation with the gentleman from the county, but they claim the only thing they have to do under law is give us the postcard. Well, the postcard does not say anything other than the new assessment. I know what I'm talking about because I work for a CPA. So, but the only way to get back and see the past 7-8 years, you got to go on the site, which is excellent, because then you put your lot and block in. Then you'll see that last year, like in my case, my assessment went up $10,000 on my land. So I think it would be nice to know that information and provide that to the general public. Don't want to belabor that point, but it was just upsetting. But I really have a problem with the way they cap it, because if you live in that community or any other community, some of the properties are worth $100,000 more, and they get capped with a $10,000 increase. This is a buyer and seller transaction. I know the state has the authority and the county has the authority, but you know, it gets a little bit too much government involvement in here. They have more control over you. You as a buyer and a seller should work that negotiation. So in essence, the cap, where I say the sales ratio assessment value in the township is 94%. Unfortunately, in my community, it's 88. So they go, well, too bad, you're not paying enough taxes. That's what it says. That's the whole rationale. So I was trying to figure this out. I said, well, what if I put my house up last year, got an asking price of $225, and I did it this year, and it was only $225? Well, I'm not getting any big capital gain on that transaction, but I got a $10,000 increase. And if you got homes that are different variations of price value and assessment value, how could you just put a figure of 10 grand on it? I don't know what can be done about it, because the county has control over it. It's a state law. I read the whole thing. It's a horror show, but people should be privy to this. I mean, really, and I think the website be a good way of transmitting that information. And I mean, people were shocked. I said, did you know this? People looked at me, what tax increase? I said, you know, go on the website. Go under that record section, and you'll find out about it. So it would be nice going forward, because they have a right every year to increase or reassess our property. So since the township is 94, and if you're under that, you're going to get an increase, whatever the dollar amount is. So just for everybody's edification and everything. Number two, I have a little gripe with the police chief, and it's not his fault, but we're having a major problem on Goodwin Parkway. It's getting to be a racetrack. And I would appreciate some effort in doing something with an unmarked car, because between the hours of 5 and 8, it's a death trap. I mean, these people are going 40, 50 miles an hour. There are kids on that neighborhood. As a matter of fact, I'm the third house on the right-hand side, so most of the traffic flow is going in that direction. And they don't stop at Richard Drive, Chief. They don't stop. And a couple times I almost got whacked. So I'm just trying to reach out to say, look, I brought this up a number of times previous to your appointment, and we're not getting any satisfaction. You know, the ride by once a week, maybe at 1 o'clock in the afternoon when I'm off or something, is not going to cut it. The hours of 5 to 8 is when it's a disaster area.
Okay,
so I would appreciate that. Okay? Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public wishing to speak? Make a motion to close the public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Passes.
Next
Okay, we're going to address the question.
We go first. First up, I think, was Vicky, had some questions. And Vicky, I will answer your questions. The two resolutions that were for the sale of public property, it's not the sale of real estate, so that's the good news for you. I think you were concerned about the sale of public real estate. It's not. It was for online sales of police vehicles, other municipal vehicles, and a motorcycle. So hope that answers your question. It's not for the sale of real estate.
Online and the other is auction.
That's correct.
One was previously done. The online auction is the second one that's being done now.
With respect to the ordinance that you referred to concerning the property on Herfield Cross Keys Road, that is a split lot zone. And in the municipal land use law, talks about a single property has two zoning designations on that same property. And the municipal land use law attempts and recommends that townships try to remove split lot zones whenever they can. So this is just a way to allow the entire property to have one zoning designation, because part of it is already zoned CI. And it's also in accordance with a zoning board interpretation from several months ago. But from a strictly municipal land use zoning standpoint, this is a proper thing to do, because you don't want split lot zones. You don't want one property with two different zones, zoning designations. With respect to things like wellhead and all that, that doesn't change anything. Anybody that would ever want to develop on this property under the CI zoning, if it does get adopted, would have to comply with all other requirements, all other ordinances, all other state statutes. So, but I understand what you're saying, but that is the purpose of that ordinance, which was introduced this evening. That's, I think, were her questions.
Yep. That's her questions. They've answered them.
Oh, and the posting of things on resolutions. I know we previously discussed resolutions online. I know it can be problematic, especially because of the last minute. Ordinances are typically put online after an introduction. They're posted, and then for the adoption, they're also up there. Then they'll be moved. They get a little check mark that says they've been adopted, I believe.
They're getting moved to an adopted section.
So there's two separate sections.
Yes, and we've been having some issues trying to get them in. I apologize, but they are up to date. We don't put the resolution, the draft format resolutions, because the council has not seen them, and it would be unfair for them to put, it's a working document until you actually see them and we pass them. However, they are offered, they're on the clipboard here tonight. Unfortunately, the bulletin board in the back has been removed. Usually they'll be hanging there for anybody to see them. And again, they'll be available to the public if they call the clerk's office.
I know it's not the most convenient. I'd like to see them online as well. Personally, I do understand the logistics and how they can be problematic. Some of the ordinances are added, changed, adjusted at the last minute. Vicki, you probably know better than anybody in this room how that goes. I know we've added resolutions at the last minute. Council gets them maybe a few hours ahead of time. So try and bear with us. If you see something on the agenda, reach out to one of your council people, reach out to the clerk. We absolutely get them to you if they're available and ready to go. I guess that's where it's at, but I know the ordinances are usually available.
The next question is about Mr. Campano, about the maintenance of the medium strip, cutting the grass. Frank, can you share information on that? Because I know Public Works works very hard at that.
Hi, Frank Altamiro, Supervisor, Public Works. Although the Route 42 is a state highway, we really don't have jurisdiction over that. And I know the county roads are also, also for safety issues. We don't. We also reach out to them when required, but we can't enforce it. We just ask them.
Also, Frank, I think there was a question about the how much money we made off that last auction. Do you have a figure approximate?
The last, when we brought the auction, we brought all our vehicles to J.J. Kane. We basically netted roughly about $25,000, which was more than our on-site auction that we had last year. We didn't really net that much. It was roughly $15,000 or $17,000. So we made more.
And I think one of the other questions, thanks, Frank, would be directed best
to Mr. Dorio, I believe he's mentioned it before, about the money going back to the police department from the money from the auction. I believe that's a legal issue. Mr. Dorio, there was a question, could it go back to the police department? And I don't think you may have the answer on that.
Yeah, I don't think it's a legal issue. It's the way we prepare our budget. The money goes into the miscellaneous revenue, not anticipated, and it's used to, it is used to fund the police department through the regular appropriations.
It's just not directly a line item that says this money is expected to be received and it's going to go to the police department. The police department puts its asks in at the beginning of the year. We generate what revenues we believe we're going to get, including what auctions we're going to do, and we best work out the deal to try and make everybody happy and best serve the township. It's not so much to put $25,000 here and it's going to go back to the police department, but the police department puts its request in. We do everything we can based on the revenues that we anticipate, and it goes from there. And auction is one of the things that we anticipate in revenue in the beginning of the year, correct?
It's not really classified as an anticipated revenue because whether we're going to have an auction or not is kind of up in the air when we do the budget. It's an unanticipated revenue, but it does go into the revenue pot, and it is distributed, as you said, Sean.
Okay.
Sean, just to make note as well, there were some vehicles from Public Works that were auctioned off the first time. The second auction includes tractors and other Public Works equipment.
Right, and the Public Works
Combination
equipment,
of police and Public Works.
the Public Works equipment typically nets the bigger pot of that. Would I be fair in saying that? Because it's larger equipment, it's still suitable for commercial uses. So I know people love to buy police cars, it seems like, but it's a mixed pot. And I think we try and do the best to make sure everybody gets their fair share. And I mean, I know Chet had mentioned this earlier. I do commend the police department and the police officers with the Citizens Police Academy and everything you guys have been doing from the community outreach end of it. Being a police officer, I know how important it is, especially in this area, to reach out to the community, because building those bonds with the community, so with the See Something, Say Something campaigns and educating our community is one way where everybody can look out for each other and keep this community as safe as possible. So I commend the entire police department on doing a great job with that.
One of the other questions about how many union contracts are up for negotiations and remaining.
Well, we have there are 6 separate bargaining units in this township. We have settled the police rank and file. We tonight settled and ratified and approved the sergeants. We're working on the superior officers, police officers, captains and lieutenants. The other 3 units are the clerical workers, and there's the DPW white collar and DPW supervisors and DPW blue collars. And there are, I think the clerical still needs to be negotiated and approved. There was some major movement last year, and we are in negotiations now. And the other 2 contracts, I think were done, Jason, if I'm not mistaken, but they wanted some amendments or changes to them.
There's some language that needs to be reviewed from the past administration. The rank and file traditionally gets done first, then the sergeants, and then the superior officers. Superior officers just expired this January, so we are working on that. We have a meeting tomorrow with the clerks at 3 o'clock.
By year's end, we anticipate we hope to have complete labor peace contractually in Washington Township.
And that's for how many years, Mr. Budd? How many years are they different?
Most of those contracts are 4-year contracts. Some of them are retro to when they expired. When we took over this year, we had some contracts that were, some CBAs were out of contract for more than a year. So some are retro to 2015 and 2016. So they go to 2019.
There was a question in regards to the Camel cleaning machine that we're purchasing. Why not the MUA? Why are we purchasing it?
Although the machines are, it's labeled a sewer and catch basin, and they are one and the same with the MUA. The MUA is mainly in their water and sewer. We as the Public Works, we have to maintain the catch basins and stormwater, which we have to follow by the Department of Environmental Protection. So we have to maintain and comply with the regulations. We do it. We have borrowed the MUA in the past. They have worked with us, but we're under their beck and call because they have their own, responsibilities themselves. So we don't always have that availability. So we have to maintain a percentage of cleaning.
Frank, I believe the unit is a stronger, more powerful unit, more accommodating to the work that you're doing as well.
Yes. Yeah. It allows us to clean any debris, sand, twigs, trash that fall down.
You just re-asked the question. Thank you, Frank.
One of the other questions was regards to the explanation for details on the Washington Square Memorandum of Understanding.
Yes, the MOU is an agreement primarily between Washington Square and Atlantic City Electric, and the purpose of that agreement is to allow the developer of Washington Square to construct a 30-foot wide roadway along a 70-foot right-of-way known as the Baldwin Boulevard Extension. The developer will bear the costs and expenses of constructing the road, and it will be dedicated to the township at no expense to the township. The reason why Atlantic City Electric is involved is because there are easements and substations and other electric and other utilities that have to be conveyed as part of the transaction. So it's basically a tri-party memorandum of understanding. The township is the beneficiary of all of this, and the expenses and costs are on the developer.
And Stuart, this was part of the planning board works with the Washington Square redevelopment project, from my understanding, and it's to extend from Herfield Crosskeys through the Washington Square project out to Baldwin Boulevard, which will connect over by Regal Cinemas and American Boulevard to bring all that together.
Yes, you are correct.
One of the other questions with regards to the software that we talked about tonight that was approved, which was GovPilot, and primarily that was to benefit the construction department. John, do you want to comment on that? Perhaps the benefits?
We looked at quite a few different operating softwares, and this particular system, GovPilot, offered what we needed better than all the other software companies. The current company we're using now, they just can't do it. Technical support is virtually non-existent, and there have been more than one instance where we were down literally and just cost a lot of man hours, a lot of wasted time, a lot of backtracking, going over mistakes. And finally, last May of 2016 was the final straw, which I had to make a decision in finding and kind of looking at all different other options. So that's when we saw a presentation by GovPilot, and that seemed to be the one that worked for us.
And to add to that, just late this afternoon, I think Mr. Alvarez will be interested in this, as part of the software platform tracking construction permits and zoning permits, they also, through our negotiations, added the abandoned or vacant properties to the software platform as well. So that'll also help with that from a software standpoint.
And John, before you sit down, this also allows you to bring in all your old forms. So from what I was reading, it's not going to have too much impact on you, this change, right? You're going to be able to just kind of roll into the same forms you're using, as far as that's why it's proprietary and everything.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be a problem as far as forms or anything like that. When it comes to construction that's regulated by the state, we have to use state forms, state regulated forms. When it comes to the local ordinance stuff like housing inspections, it'll work along with that really well. Which is why we decided on that system.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I would add from the clerk standpoint, it's going to help us because it's an open platform, and we're well over 300 right now. So I expect this to be over 600 by the end of the year. There are no more questions, just some comments for improvement. And
I just wanted to bring up, Julie Yankanich had come up to talk about the sober sports program. So I just wanted to, from the Municipal Alliance liaison on Family and Community Services, I'm the liaison for that. I don't know, Councilwoman Pascalone is for Sports Advisory, so I'm not sure if she can do anything, but I'll bring it up at our next Municipal Alliance meeting, and possibly the chief and mayor, we can sit down to look the program over. So we'll be in touch about that. I think it sounds great.
Might want to reach out to the freeholder board to Julie, if they're running it in Camden County. I mean, there's a lot of facilities and a lot of people in this county who have addictions, so it's probably a good thing to maybe reach out to freeholder Christie. I know you're sitting all the way in the back, but
I think there was, the last gentleman had some comments about tax assessing issues. The only thing that I wanted to indicate is that, and as the gentleman indicated, in Gloucester County, tax assessing is handled by the county, not by the municipality. And a statement was made that there were tax increases. There may have been assessment increases, which are not within our control, but there was no local purpose tax increase in 2017 by this council, this administration. So I want to clear that piece up. One of the suggestions was to somehow provide, apparently there's a website where you can go in and take a look at your past assessment history, and the gentleman indicated that. I don't know if we can put a link on our website to that website, should people want to do that. That would be a more of a IT issue that I know just enough about to be dangerous. So that would be the only thing, was to help with that. Our residents can go on our website and take a look at the link to the county tax assessing website.
We are continuing in the process to develop our website. There are a lot of issues, and we know that we have to address to make it more user-friendly, and we're working with the mayor and the administration and the business administrator to do that.
And one more thing for Mr. Alvarez, if you do have questions about any ordinance issues that are legal in nature and you want to forward them to me in advance, as you know, I get back to you as quickly as I possibly can. I think that's all we have. I don't have any other questions on my list.
Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No.
The next council meeting that was scheduled for August 9th is being canceled. The next regularly scheduled meeting is scheduled for August 23rd, 2017 at 7 o'clock.